For those of you, the riveter is a term that if you're under 50 years old, you may never have heard it, or if you've heard it, you never really knew what it meant. So to make a short story long, let's go back to 1925. In April of 1925, a little boy was born in Georgia. In July of 1925, a little girl was born in Tennessee. The little boy was named Robert, and the little girl was named Margaret. And he talks about their childhood and the beginning of World War II. Due to the shortage of men, these factories were seeking help from anybody able to work. Margaret heard about this and knew this was her chance to get out on her own, and she took a bus into Nashville, applied for it, and was accepted for a job. She rented a room and went to work the next day as a riveter. After a few months making P-38 fighter planes, a notice was sent out that the production of this plane was being reduced and some workers would be eliminated. Last in, first out. But then a notification came out that said a new factory had been built on the outskirts of Atlanta, Georgia, to build a new bomber called a B-29, and workers were badly needed. So Margaret packed up a few things and took a bus to Atlanta. Upon applying for a job, she was promptly hired as a riveter. But what happened to the baby boy named Robert? Well, you may need to know about him, because you'll not believe how he fits into what came next. When the war started, he joined the Navy. During his moving from base to base, he was eventually assigned to Peleliu, a very small island not far from the Philippines. His parents grew up in a little North Georgia town named Hartwell. During his numerous visits to see his grandparents in Hartwell, Georgia, he often noticed a copy of the weekly paper, the Hartwell Sun. Back on the base one day, he noticed a newspaper sticking out of the fellow's back pocket and could just make out the word heart. So he asked the fellow if that was a Hartwell Sun, and it was. So of course they had lots to talk about and were good friends until they were assigned to other bases. When the war ended, Robert went back to Atlanta, where Margaret had decided to live after her job building airplanes ended. After the war ended, the government put through a declaration that the veterans were to get free college based on 1 month of college for each month in the service. Robert took this gift and applied to Georgia Tech. He was accepted and assigned a room in a dormitory. Just a few days after moving in, guess who he saw in the hallway? That's right, the friend that he met on that little island in the Pacific Ocean, thousands of miles away from America. So one Saturday afternoon, the friend stopped by Robert's room and said he had a date with his girlfriend. And she had a friend who didn't have a date that night, and would Robert like to meet her? Guess who that was? You're right, it was Margaret. And you know the rest of the story. From 1 John chapter 4, verses 11 and 12. Dear friends, since God so loved us, we also ought to love one another. No one has ever seen God, but if we love one another, God lives in us, and his love is made complete in us.
It's a privilege to be here today. I'm Trena, and I'm from the Senior Centers. And Robert spent a lot of time with us. So it's a privilege for me to give you a little insight into his life. I have to do this because he was so unassuming and so humble about everything he did. There's a good chance you may not know some of this. One of my very first visual memories when I was hired at the Senior Centers was Robert coming in with a cart of printed materials. That's like huge. And, he was not that large of a man. And me being in my first week, I had to go up to him and ask him, who are you? And why are you bringing all those papers into our senior center? Well, he kindly explained that he was a ship counselor and that lots and lots of seniors needed help understanding Medicare, and that he had 3 appointments lined up, and I better get out of the way because he was going to be late. So, opened the door and let him in, and for many years, he was there 3 to 6 hours a week helping seniors understand Medicare. And it wasn't long before he caught me in the hall and said, Trent, you need to do this too. There are too many seniors for me to take care of. I said, oh, yes, sir. I guess I'll do it. And he was so kind. He helped me through my training, and he helped me through my appointments when I first started seeing seniors. And it was such a joy to see him come in, because I know he looked forward to being there every time he came in, even with his stack of papers, because Medicare is so complicated. And so for years we passed in the hall, or if he had missed a training, he'd come and see me, and I'd give him his materials, and we'd kind of brief each other on what we were learning as we went along. So he was just a natural, just kind of fit into the senior centers. Well, lo and behold, I turned 55. And Robert says, you need to do senior games. I said, well, what are senior games? He said, don't you play sports? I said, sure. He said, you need to be in senior games. I'm on board. I said, yes, sir. I'll join. So he got me to join the senior games last year, because I finally had turned 55. So it was a pleasure to always have him challenge me. And many seniors called, and we get thank you notes from the participants that some of our ship counselors see. And Robert was one that we often got thank you notes from. But they would send them to the center, and we would give them to Robert, where people would express their gratitude for how much he had helped them. And consistent in the messages of those thank you notes were always the fact that he was extremely patient, extremely understanding, and so very, very knowledgeable. But they would ask, if they had another question, they would ask to have a follow-up appointment with him maybe the next year when he had more questions. So probably many of you don't know, but if you calculate, he just passed his 25th year as a ship counselor. So if you calculate that, he did at least three appointments a week, and say he did 50 weeks a year, it's 150 times 25. Who's the accountant in the room? Who can tell us how many people he helped? It was tremendous. And he was always so humble and so kind that he'll always, always be remembered for that. And then when he challenged me to join the senior games, he said, look at me, I do it. I said, you? He said, yeah, come on out. Come out to Big Saturday, as they called it. And I got to watch him participate. And then he looked at me and said, it's your turn, Trena. So that's why I did it. And then I had the privilege of also being asked to join the board of directors for the senior games, and I was able to help them some as well. So he had a huge influence on my life, and I'm just one of the seniors that he touched in this community. So you can imagine how many people are in the right Medicare plan saving money because Robert took the time to explain what Medicare is about and how to use it wisely. And he was a very, very wise man. So let me say that no matter what he did with a seriousness and a steadfastness and a passion and a joy. If you knew him, you always saw that smile on his face and that glint in his eye, because he knew he was making a difference, and he felt like that was part of his service that he should do. So there are some young grandchildren sitting in this room, and some younger people than I am even. And let me challenge all of us that I wanted to share with you the part of Robert that he shared with us and the seniors of this community. He will always live through me. Will he live through you? Find a need to meet, a joy, a passion to share. And you will leave a little bit of Robert behind wherever you go. He is a part of the greatest generation, and it's a privilege, but a huge challenge to fill his footsteps and the footsteps of others that I see in this room that are too of the greatest generation. Let us not let them down. Thank you.
I just got through doing this a couple months ago. I was doing okay until you started crying. Man, I was doing great. So, I got it all out of my system before I get up here. pretty close behind, and maybe tied, is my dad's tea. He's been making great iced tea for, well, I've known him for 57 years, so I guess, a long, long, long time. And he was known for a lot of things, and that was actually one of them. Whenever we were having to get together, we said, okay, we're going to need this much tea. And if we didn't, he would say, how much tea do you need? Am I close enough to this thing? Okay. I know last time I wasn't either. All right, so this is one of my props. And then the other one is a timer. And it's really not to time anything, really. This is just because my dad loved timers. I mean, whenever he would come over to your house, if you had a timer somewhere in your house, then he wouldn't have been there very long before your timer would be going off. And he put timers on the television, he put timers on the radio, and then he put timers on everything, and we'd be sitting there watching TV, and all of a sudden it would go off. Or listening to the radio, and all of a sudden it would go off, and then we'd go, what happened? And then we'd go, oh yeah. I guess it was on the timer. So, anyway, I've got a timer here, and I'm just going to sit here, it's going to go off for no reason in a few minutes. I know, and everybody says, well, that's really going to be stupid. Well, no, not really. And so, give me just 1 second, because I need some tea to drink. At my mom's service, I thought it was really important to say that with her it was a million little things that made her so wonderful. And it was. There was a lot of big things too, but there was just a million little things. And it was the same thing with my dad, except for with him, I'm gonna say it was just all about being there. Because he was always there. And before I forget, I want to thank all my friends for being here today. And Larry on the organ, and Jim Stack, and Cody Henry, Bill Stowe, and Ron, and whoever that I forgot. But I mean, that means a lot to me. These guys are all a really big part of all of our lives. And so I really do appreciate them being here. And at any rate, you could always count on my dad to be there. And there was really no better example than like the last 3 years when my mom was so sick. I mean, she was in the hospital a lot of the time, or rehab, and all of that time my dad was there, and we couldn't get him to go home, and so we were as worried about his health as we were about her. So that he wouldn't leave. Finally, we worked out a system that he would agree to that would let him go home some during the day and rest, but he would have stayed 24/7 if we had let him. And then when Mom went home, he had to be there. He really did have to be there for that because she needed care pretty much around the clock. Sometimes she was okay and she could be left alone, but it turned out that we thought sometimes that she could be left alone. He didn't think so, and he was right because she had this tracheomalacia that nobody knew about, and she was doing great, and her throat would just close up, and if he hadn't been there, she would have died. So then we started saying, okay, then you can stay with her all the time. We won't complain so much. But I mean, thank God that he did. He thoroughly enjoyed that. It was a real purpose and focus in his life. And if you notice last night, if you were at the visitation and you looked at any of the pictures, there's not hardly any pictures of them alone after they met. There's a bunch when they were before they knew each other, but after that, all the pictures are both of them together. So we really pretty much used the same pictures for Dad that we used for Mom because they were all the pictures that we had. They were together all the time. And then as far as him not being there, whenever he would leave, as soon as he would walk out the door, Mom would go, call Rob D, call Bob. And we go, Mom, he's been here like for 24 hours. He needs to go home and go to sleep. She goes, okay. And then about 2 minutes later, call Bob. So that's just the way that it was with him all the time. And it wasn't just, he wasn't just there for the mom, he was there for all of us. When I was growing up, it's it's gratifying to have had parents like we had. He came to all of our sports games. He came to all of my concerts, and the girls were doing piano and whatever they were doing, whatever we were doing, Mom and Dad were there. And if I really needed or wanted something, he would figure out a way for me to get it, except for when I was in college and I wanted a motorcycle. And he wouldn't let me have that. He would figure out a way for us to have the car when we needed it at college, or when I came home, when I was working at Carolyn's on the weekends, and there was like 10 of my college buddies that came with us, and they would come in the morning and find all of them asleep all over the floor, because they were coming out of work. Sorry. Okay. But they were okay with everything. It's hard for me to read with my contacts on, so I'm a little sorry. Yeah, I had some surgeries back in the 90s. He insisted on taking me to all of my physical therapies, and I mean, he just couldn't stand it if he wasn't the one taking me and doing things for me. He found all of our first houses for us when he was in real estate. The timing was perfect, and he had to be the one, and he was out looking every day. He found the perfect houses for us, and he helped us with financing. And I mean, he just wanted to do all the important things, and he was just always there. And one thing that they wanted me to say that it's a little bit embarrassing for me, but when I used to have a whole bunch of gigs in a day, sometimes like I'd have to be at the next one almost before the first one was over, and you get there's no parking. So they would go over and park at the front door and sit there in their car until I got there. And then they'd pull out, and I'd pull in and run in the door. They were pretty nice. and then one other kind of embarrassing thing, and once when I was in high school, after a football game in my marching band uniform, I got arrested and thrown in jail. And I wasn't doing anything, but still it happened. And I'm in jail with my marching band uniform in my hat. And so about 2 in the morning, I had to call Mom and Dad. So they came down and they got me out, and they never, ever said a word until about 10 years ago, my birthday. I got a birthday card, and it said, "Remember when we?" Now this was not. He didn't write it. The card actually said this. "Do you remember when we bailed you out of jail?" And he laughed. And that was the first time that they ever said anything about it, except for when I got everything removed, and they thought that was great. But I mean, it's just. They weren't judgmental. Dad was always there. One other thing that was, well, many things, but after Mom died, it was awful. But he was trying to fill her shoes, which was impossible. But, one of the things, like all the little things with her, one of the things was every morning at 9:30 I called her, because I had to call her before Matlock started. And by the way, you see my seersucker jacket. They both love Matlock, and they love seersucker suits, and my dad used to wear them a long time ago. And about bow ties, he had just decided that he wanted to start learning how to tie his own bow tie. So he had gotten, they'd given him this bow tie for his birthday, which was April 5th, and he was just starting to learn how to tie it, but he never actually got to wear it. So I'm wearing his bow tie today, and all the other guys. These guys all are wearing bow ties all the time, but they know how to tie. So they were pretty sweet, but that's kind of part of that. But anyway, I would call, so I said, okay, well, Mom's not here, but I can still dial the phone number, and somebody will answer, and it'll be Dad, and that's great. So he would answer it, and he just wasn't used to that, because Mom always did all the talking. And for a long time, he wasn't very good at it, but then it changed. And then I would call him, and I couldn't get him to hang up. I mean, he'd talk, and I'd be ready to hang up, and he'd ask me something else. And I would go to visit him a lot, most every day. It is really annoying, isn't it? It really is. But that's the way it is now. And he would just laugh, and the thing would go off. And see, now I've completely lost my concentration. So I would go over to the house, and we'd go work in the yard, or we'd work around the house, or we'd go somewhere and do something, and we'd come home. And I had to go, and he was say, well, you sure you don't want to come sit down and have a Coke and some pimento cheese? And I'll go, sure, yeah, I would. And so we sit down and we talk and we have Coke and pimento cheese, and that happened just about every time that I would go over there lately. And it was great. It was just great. A couple more things, and I'm going to talk fast. Right after he and Mom got married, Mom's sister came to live with him. And Dad was like an only child, and his mom wasn't, he didn't have a mom for very long. And so he kind of grew up on his own. And then after he married Mom, she had a gigantic family in Tennessee. And so she was used to all these people, and he wasn't. But so her sister came over pretty soon and started living with him, and she was wonderful. But, it was fine with Dad. And then after she left, Mom's cousin came and moved in, and the house was not very big. But, Dad was completely okay with that, and I think that was a pretty big deal. He just was always there for her, and whatever she wanted and whatever she needed. My Aunt June and my nephew, well, he's my cousin, their nephew. I mean, they just have loved my dad like known forever. Like Matthew said, he grew up in Hartwell, one of 5 children. He was the only child, but his father was one of 5 children. And all those people lived in Hartwell. Then they moved away, and Dad would take us to see them no matter where they were. We had to make sure that we could get those contacts. Then they all moved back to Hartwell, and that was great because we could go and see them all at one time. Janet wanted me to mention how he was always there to help her with her car, with her house, whatever she needed help with, and a lot of times she needed help with her car. And he still does. We got to figure out what's wrong with it now. Dad's not here to tell me what's wrong with it, so it's wrong. And then after Dave, Janet's husband, had his health problems about 2 months ago, she had to leave like on about 2 hours' notice. And Dad was there to take care of everything for her, take care of the house and take care of the mail. And I don't even know it all, but he was there and he was constantly close to Mom. Let me see. My dad was very proud of being in the Navy during World War II. He was a terrific patriot. And I think that may be one of the reasons that he loved the Coast Guard and Power Squadron so much. And I'll mention some of the things. I don't think I could ever mention all of the things that he was in. He was always wearing flag command, always. The last concert he went to was a jazz concert by the Air Force Jazz Band, Airman Note. And it was at our high school, Orange Park High School. So as far as he was concerned, that was about as great a night as you could possibly have. He liked significance in events. So I just want to read a list of a few of the things that he loved. And one of them was, I think maybe, interestingly enough, the main thing that he loved, and he loved a lot of things, was the insurance business. He grew up as an insurance bond underwriter, and he was transferred to Charlotte from Atlanta. Y'all have no? Okay. At any rate, and the insurance was so incredibly important to him. It wouldn't have mattered how much money that we had. With my mom's insurance, with my mom's medical bills, it would have wiped out everything if he hadn't had that knowledge and set up their insurance the right way. They might have had to pay a few $1,000s, but I'm sure their bills were millions of dollars with all this stuff. And so having been involved with the SHIP program for 25 years, I can't imagine how many other people that he has saved so much grief because of his knowledge and his willingness to share that with so many people. Truly, that was a wonderful thing. I'm just going to read off the list of things. He loved to take pictures. He loved to do slideshows, which we hated for a long time. And eventually, we got to where we loved them. He never got into PowerPoint. He was still doing slideshows up to the end. He loved jazz. He loved spaghetti. He loved chocolate pie. That's Mark's chocolate pie, my mom. He loved sweet tea, buttered toast, which was his specialty, Coca-Cola, Ella Fitzgerald, Oscar Peterson, Benny Goodman. He put a radio in my crib when I was born. And he played jazz 24 hours a day. So I was doomed, thank goodness. Thank goodness. He loved Andy Griffith. He loved Barney and Aunt Bee. And he loved sayings like, yep, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go down the store and get some ice cream. And one of the other great sayings was that giraffes are selfish. So if you know the Andy Griffith show, that's from the dog show. Dogs are low, but giraffes are selfish, they're called. He loved Matlock, like this. He loved Rockford. So I think listening to those kinds of shows that were his favorite tells you a lot about the kind of person that he was. He loved going on long car rides. He loved working in his garden. He was a master gardener. And he loved the Coast Guard, the Power Squadron, the Senior Center, the ship program, senior games, being a master gardener, Toastmasters. He was an excellent public speaker. He loved the Charlotte Computer Club. He loved bowling, badminton, croquet. I mean, he was still doing all this stuff the day that he died, literally that day. We played those games as we were growing up, and we loved all that stuff. And it was so much fun. It was so much family. He had so many friends in so many different areas of life, and I can see that in myself.